Right, we're now live. So, good afternoon, good morning, good evening. You're probably watching this because there isn't a live show tonight due to various things. England reaching the final of Euros has taken Omar out. Jay is unfortunately a sick pup, and Stephen is over watching the cricket, I think. And you've got me. And we were going to have this gentleman on later on, but obviously we've managed to do a pre-record this afternoon. So I'm going to welcome my guest. Welcome to the show. This is Charlie Beaston. You were recommended to me by a certain player who potentially was with you guys last year, which we can touch on a little bit. But yeah, Charlie it's going to make an interesting one. You're going to have to listen to it all the way through. But Charlie is a blind supporter who is part of the Stacey West podcast. And I just thought it would be interesting that he is a Lincoln fanatic. I was told that, what you don't know ain't worth knowing. So, and I'll take those recommendations. So welcome to the show, Charlie. How you doing? You all right?
I'm very well, thank you. Thanks for having me. Look, it's... Don't get me wrong, I don't think I would have wanted to be sat here talking on a Millwall podcast this week. At the start of the week, especially when rumours started breaking. But no, I am. Thank you for having me on, and there's a bit to talk about, isn't there?
Yeah, there's a fair amount. So, I mean, I'm gonna tap you on two players. One was ours, what was on loan to you, and then obviously the keeper we've pretty much robbed from you, really, because your fans don't seem to be too happy with the price. But we will come into that in a minute. So those of you watching, this is where we're going to play the intro, and we'll come back to you in about a minute's time.
Language you don't usually hear on television. Millwall in London's Dockland.
No one likes it, but we don't care. We're that Millwall podcast. Loud every Friday night right here. Legends like Jimmy and Abdul take a share in the kitchen or two. Super Neil Harris, a fucking legend too. Through the good times and in this life, we support the Lions all our life. This ain't no place for fancy feet. This is fucking Millwall through and through. Located on our very own John Benison way. Let them walk, mum, let them have their say. Millwall till we die. With that Millwall podcast, loud every Friday night right here.
Welcome back. We are joined by Charlie Beaston. He is a Lincoln. Is it Lincoln City, isn't it? Lincoln City supporter. For some reason, I think it's Lincoln Town, but it's not. It's Lincoln City supporter. He's part of the Stacey West podcast. Let's start first, because I said you're blind. You're not fully blind, but you are technically registered blind. So let's hit that elephant in the room, because probably the fan base was going, hang on, how are you? And then we will come back to obviously what you're looking to do in the wider football world towards the end of the interview, and hopefully people can get involved and start supporting. So let's start with that. Have you been blind from birth? Did you go blind, or how does it work? How did it work for you?
Yeah, no, fully blind from birth. A genetic condition. My mum's got the same condition, so it's sort of passed down through that. And yeah, look, I mean, it is the elephant in the room, because people are probably going to be listening or watching this and thinking, well, what on earth are you going to tell me about a goalkeeper? Which is obviously one of the bigger points that we'll be discussing. But yeah, I watch the games. I go to more or less every game, home and away for Lincoln City. I watch the games in a very loose context. I often sort of have audio descriptive commentary for the home games, sometimes for away games, sometimes not, depending on the away stadium and their disability setup. But then, when we're doing our podcast, I am always watching at the bare minimum extended highlights kind of on my big screen when I get home, or even the full match replay the following morning if we've won. Maybe if we've lost 5-0, I'm not going to do that, but if we've won, just so then I at least can pretend I know what I'm talking about. I probably don't know what I'm talking about at all, but at least
I'm the same as you, mate. I'm the same as you. You know,
Fake it till you make it, eh?
Yeah, I chair a podcast and I pretend that I know what I'm talking about when most of the listeners know I know absolutely nothing. My football knowledge could be written on the back of a stamp, but it's I think the only reason I do this is because of my sparkling good looks and my extreme personality. So yeah, it is what it is. Well, look, you're on the show today to talk about obviously great news for us, sad news for you. Your keeper, Lukas Jensen, obviously young guy, 18 clean sheets in 43 games for you last season. He looks a good old-fashioned keeper, and that's pretty much how he's pretty much described himself and some of the stuff he's done for us since he's been here. So how would you describe him, and what sort of player are we looking forward to watch week in, week out?
You're looking forward to a goalkeeper whose top level could be higher than the Championship, first of all. You're looking forward to a keeper who was one of, if not the best goalkeeper in League One statistically last year. You're looking forward to a keeper who's able to not just be an insane shot stopper, he's able to command his area, he's able to know when to rush out. His distribution sometimes got a little bit of stick from our fan base, but it definitely improved towards the back end of the season. You're looking forward to an all-round great goalkeeper and a great guy as well, and somebody who I think may just even be seeing Millwall as a stepping stone. That's how good he could be.
But that's great news considering obviously the price we paid for him, and potentially if he goes Premiership bound in a few years, then there's great margin in it for us there potentially. But he's stepping in, unfortunately, on sad circumstances with the sad loss of our last keeper, Sarkic, who unfortunately passed away a few weeks ago. It's going to be an emotional journey for him. It's going to be huge gloves to fill. Is he the sort of character that's going to be able to fill those gloves and be able to handle it?
Absolutely. I think he is a very strong personality, a very sort of strong kind of player in that sense. He will be able to appreciate that kind of emotional aspect. Your first home game of the season, for example, is going to have more emotion riding on it than many other games, I'm sure.
It's going to have huge.
Of course. And I don't think it's something... I'm not saying it won't affect him.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it won't affect him, because it will. Hang on a second. Sorry, my headphones have just died. Give me a second.
You're okay without them. There doesn't seem to be an echo if you... I know there is.
Can you hear yourself?
Yes.
Right, hang on then. Bear with me. Sorry about that.
No, you're good.
I've got a lead somewhere.
So then, obviously, come back now. You've got your earphones sorted. You were saying,
yeah. So I think it will. Obviously, it'll affect him. It'll affect every single player on that pitch. But I also think that he's professional in the sense that he will be able to not block it out of his mind, but be able to put it to one side for the 90 minutes of football, and not let that sit too heavily and take that pressure away. And I think that was something that he showed last season for us. Obviously totally different circumstances when we're talking about extra pressure, but second half of the season, and we're suddenly in this playoff push that we didn't think we were going to be in, and with every game, expectation rose, and he consistently didn't make mistakes. You could never tell that there was pressure on him as a player. Whereas, I didn't really think you could notice it on any of the other players, but, some people might say one or two of the outfield lads, you could see that. You definitely could see that with Lukas Jensen. And so that's what you're getting, a strong character as well as player.
Right, yeah, no, I've got you there. So he come to you at the beginning of last season, didn't he?
Mm-hmm.
From is it Rochdale? I think it was, wasn't it?
We got it from Burnley on a
Burnley,
free transfer.
Right. Okay. I've got you. Oh yeah. Sorry. No, I was reading his appearances in. So it's not bad, really. I mean, a free transfer is now what 400,000 thereabouts. So the rumours are obviously we never get to know the exact positions, but there seems to be on a lot of your forums and a lot of your Twitter pages and Facebook that you think 400,000 is pretty much worth his left hand.
I would disagree with those assessments. I think 400,000 is a strong valuation. I think it's about right personally.
Yeah,
Only a year left on his contract.
Yeah.
We didn't have an extension clause on it, whereas we do for a lot of others. It seemed pretty clear from the conversations that he was having with the club, and what the club have said, that he wouldn't have extended past the 2 years unless maybe if we got promoted there could have been another conversation. But it seems as though he wouldn't have wanted to extend. So at that point, take £400,000 for a player who's got a year left. Yes, please. Like that's great business for us as a League One club.
No, 100%, 100%. So let's get into him. You say he demands the box. Is that through like a captaincy role? Is he just very much demanding? He's a big lad, isn't he? He's 6'3", 6'4", so he's a big lad. Does he just literally keep a line on his back four and just literally communicates and tell him where he is?
Yeah, so I think when you bear in mind like crosses coming in and situations like that, when you've got somebody who is automatically like as tall as that anyway, as an attacker, you'll look up and you'll start getting a little bit worried when a goalkeeper starts coming towards you that's about a foot taller than what you are. But what he's able to do is he's able to use his intelligence, and I think that's something that he improved over the course of the year as well, to know when was the right moment to come out and punch balls away, catch those balls that were coming into the area, or when was the right time to stay on his line and be there for a shot that was sort of coming. So that's the point. He's also from by all accounts he's also a bit of a shouter as a goalkeeper, which personally I love that. I think your goalkeeper should be really vocal. They should be commanding where your back line is, letting the back line know if they've made a mistake. Let them know, because at the end of the day, that'll go on to the goalkeeper pretty quickly. So yeah, I think he's got that sort of aspect of his game to him as well.
No, I agree. I think it's always nice to have that kind of keeper who will scream at the players when you make a mistake or where you should be somewhere else, etc., etc. So I think that's probably a good thing, and I think it will probably go down well at Millwall. To be fair, it's good to have. We've had a couple of keepers like that over the years, and I think we could do with another one. And I think in what I've seen of him, he seems quite a character, and a lot of your forums, etc., seem to say the same, that he is a larger than life character, and he's going to be a big miss for you.
He is. We had the conversation just off air. Lincoln are going to need to bring in another goalkeeper now. Whether that's a loan or a permanent, we don't know, but we're going to have to be bringing somebody else in to be our new number one. And, that's the position that Millwall have now put us in. So, cheers for that, guys. But you've given us £400,000 or rumoured to be to go and do that. So, swings and roundabouts in that sense, isn't it? He is going to be a big miss, both on the pitch and off the pitch. He was a great guy around the dressing room. He was loved by a lot of the players, let alone the fans. So he'll definitely be a big miss on that front.
So I mean, you said at the beginning that obviously you think that he's there for bigger things potentially, and we may be a stepping stone, which is never a bad thing for a player on his way up. But do you think stepping up into the Championship and the way that the Championship is, with the speed of the play, the players' level, do you think that it will take him a little while to get used to it, or do you think he'll hit the ground running pretty much straight away?
Personally, I don't think he'll find the step up an issue at all. I think he would find it harder sort of stepping down than stepping up, because like you say, the speed of the game, that's one of his key strengths, is his intelligence and quick intelligence of knowing, okay, when does he rush the attacker? where does he position himself, and he's got to be thinking quickly, and that was always something that he excelled at last year. So having that step up and that speed being quicker, I think is actually just going to feed into those skills of his. So I don't think he's going to have too much of an issue. I think he'll hit the ground running. I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up getting a lot of clean sheets and he has a real high save percentage and such next season. Yeah.
Fingers crossed on that one. You say obviously that he's very intelligent. What's his reactions like? I mean, for like there's over the championship, obviously there's a lot of double saves and sometimes, maybe a triple save. I mean, how is his reaction time of getting down and back up and stuff?
Very, very strong. There was a good few occasions last season where he was making those double saves and you just kind of sit back and think, wow, how have you done that? I feel like I repeat myself with this because I seem to say it all the time when we're on our podcast talking about Lukas Jensen, but as an idea of just how good he is, last season, back in March, we beat Bristol Rovers at home 5-0, right? And our striker got a hat-trick, and it was just an all-round fantastic display. You know who got man of the match in that game? Lukas Jensen. Because at 3-0 up, we could have quite easily have been 4-3 down, but he was keeping us in the game. And it's ridiculous to say when you bear in mind that you are 3-0 up, but he was just outstanding, making save after save when they were countering us and they had the better opportunities. And it was all down to him. So that's a testament as to how good he was in that game. And also in that game, we had a certain player on loan from you guys that was doing push-ups in front of the away fans trying to mock them.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
So, well, we're going to have to come to that in a sec. So, yeah. So, I mean, hopefully you find yourself another keeper. We've obviously got the better part of this deal. We've obviously got a fantastic bargain or a reasonable bargain, you feel. And hopefully that he goes on to better things or even becomes established with us and maybe helps us get to the Premiership and he plays with us in the Premiership and then, maybe gets sold for millions and millions of pounds at a later point. So, I'm happy for that possibly to go forward there. But your ones, apart from the bit you just said, but your one standout moment from him through your one season with him, and yeah, how much are you going to miss him?
Do you know what? The one standout moment just is that whole Bristol Rovers game. It really is because, again, he was so good in that game that we forgot how good the attacking performances were. And that's a true testament because a goalkeeper is often not actually recognised when a team is doing well as being such an integral part of it. And that game, he got that recognition and it was huge credit to him on that. And he deserved it. And then, we're really going to miss him. I wish he hadn't moved on, but at the same time, huge credit to the club for getting some money for it and structuring this deal and and so on. And we've retained, by the sounds of it, a significant future interest. So that's great to hear from our
you got view. Is there a sell-on clause?
Mm-hmm.
And add-ons probably, no doubt. So
so that's brilliant. And just for him as a player, he's earned this move. There's no denying he's earned the step up. So credit to him, fair play to him, and good luck to him. That's all I can say.
I'm going to hit you with a tricky question now. Who do you think is more of a miss for you, Alex Mitchell or Lukas Jensen?
Oh, you really have hit me with the tricky one there. Alex.
Tell us about Alex. Come on. Alex played for you for a season and to let's, Alex is 22 years old, has been in football late, come to football at the age of 15. He was a professional rower before he came into football. A genuine all-round nice guy. Never really got the start or the luck in Championship over various managers and stuff. And I think the lad just wants first-team football. And I wish him all the luck in the world at Charlton. Hopefully they don't get promoted, but I still wish him all the luck in the world that he will make big names for himself and hopefully eventually will come back. I think we've put a big sell-on clause on him and hopefully at some point he either makes it or, maybe he comes back to us at a later point. But a genuine nice fella. Everywhere he's gone, he's won player of the season, and nothing was far short with you.
Alex, top player and a top bloke. I think, in on the pitch, he just excelled from his very first game away at Premier League Sheffield United in the Carabao Cup back end of last August. He just endeared himself to the fans, being this big brick sort of centre half. Everybody loved him, and you're like, okay, this guy could do something with us this season. He had periods in and out of the team at various times, because we had one of the strongest defences in the league, and we basically had 3 centre halves who were top level, fighting for 2 positions. So there were times where he found himself the third on the bench, but then towards the end of the season, especially the second half of the season, he kept one or two of the others out the team just because of how good of a defender he was. I think he was, deceptively quick, great on the ball, fantastic off the ball, and he is a real, obviously, miss for us. Obviously, we knew only on loan that it was never going to be, never really going to have much of a chance of staying. Although, what I understand it, we might have put in an offer or two. Obviously, he went over to Charlton. Really do wish him all the best. At the same time, he's a traitor, and I will happily boo him. Yeah, it's a shame to have not had the opportunity to have more than a season with Alex Mitchell in Lincoln colours. But he's a great player, and he's got a strong future at Championship level, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think he probably has. I think he's probably not with various managers. I think he's probably never really got the start or the game time, but he's definitely a fantastic League One player. He's definitely there, and I think probably with more League One appearances and League One starts, and hopefully it ups his game, then potentially, yes, I think he will get into Championship in the future. I think the problem is that sometimes you can be a fantastic League One player. And I mean, listen, we just go watch. We're not professional football scouts. We're not professional analysts within football. Players over the years, we always think are, should be playing. They're the best thing since sliced bread, normally end up going to other clubs fairly cheap anyway. So, but I think Alex is a good lad. Alex's family's a good family. I think I understand fully why Alex went to Charlton because of regular football. I don't think it was anything to do with, in any way sticking anything, to us or doing anything else, because you never get a choice. It's where the club wants to do. My only sadness would probably been we should have done a swap for your keeper and him. And, we could have probably done it wouldn't have helped you out finding a new keeper, but it would definitely have helped you out with Alex Mitchell, who seems to have definitely found a home with Lincoln.
Absolutely, and I wouldn't have been too opposed to that. But in a sort of way, you've ironically just given us the Alex Mitchell money anyway. So obviously I know the numbers may not fully marry up, but
in theory, I mean, it was. I mean, there was a rumor that was a couple of $100,000. So realistically, it's probably we've used that money plus a little bit extra, and we've robbed you of your keeper, who potentially will go on and be fantastic to us. So I mean, what's your standout moment with Alex Mitchell? Because you've interviewed him as well, haven't you? You've spoken to him.
I've spoken to him a few times. We've never done a proper interview, but I've spoken to him a good few times. I mean, standout moment. Do you know what? Again, actually, in that Bristol Rovers game, it was quite funny to see him sort of do little push-ups in front of the away fans, as an example in that game. I just think it was his consistency of. It's really difficult with a defender, because obviously with a goal scorer, with a striker, your best moment's just going to be their best goal or something like that, their best run or whatever it might be. But with somebody like Alex, it was just his consistency to perform at such a high level week in, week out, that it will be a shock to the system then not having him in the team again. And it was only a season, but the fact that we're talking about him in this way just shows how good of a season he had.
He's had that everywhere he's gone though. Every club he's gone to absolutely fall in love with him. And they say never love a lone player because they'll always break your heart. But, it looks as if, Alex Mitchell's broken Lincoln fans' hearts. Obviously, he's broken a lot of Millwall that we wanted him to succeed with us. He is, to us, a proper Millwall player, but he's never really going to get in the team with the current players we've got there. He's always going to be a part player. Possibly he could be 3-4 down the list. So I understand why he wants regular football and to go. And obviously, hopefully, I don't know, but hopefully he was probably, instrumental, we can hope, in Lukas saying that he wanted to come here and join us. So we can always say that. So look, I want to finish this on something what you're doing or something what you're sort of starting and pushing, which, to be honest, I never really thought of until I've seen some of your socials and stuff. And I got behind another lad who was arguing with the alternative descriptions for images on social media, Jamie, who, again, you don't think about it when you post a picture. If you don't write a description, it's, people who are blind or short-sighted aren't going to be able to see it. This is fairly similar. So if me and you went to a cricket match or we went to a rugby match, we could either hear commentary or we can hear what the referees or umpires are decisions and saying, etc. But currently at football, if you're blind, you're pretty much on your own. Unless you're watching Sky Sports or something else, somewhere along the lines, you're pretty much on your own. Which, in the current situation with equality laws and inclusivity and everything else, we're in 2024. It's quite disgusting, really.
It is, and it is an issue at a lot of grounds. So I am at Lincoln. We have something called audio descriptive commentary. So audio descriptive commentary is sort of specific commentary aimed at those with sight loss or maybe other sort of cognitive issues that maybe mean they can't keep up with the game as well. Maybe can't kind of, obviously for me, it's not being able to actually see what's going on. And that commentary just provides extra insight into what's happening on the pitch, where the ball is on the pitch at all times. So, for example, your standard BBC radio commentary, if you ever end up listening to that, it might say, I don't know, Alex Mitchell's got the ball in the defence. Right, that's great. But as somebody who is registered blind, that doesn't really tell me anything that deep. So what the audio descriptive commentary will say is, okay, Alex Mitchell's got the ball on the right side of the fence, about 10 yards from the touchline, 10 yards from the byline. Boom. That is immediately giving me so much more information. Then it'll say, okay, now Lukas Jensen's got the ball in the 6-yard area, rather than just saying, and he passes it to Lukas Jensen. Because I don't know where Lukas Jensen stood. Especially nowadays when you've got goalkeepers that seem to play as midfielders, you don't know. So that's sort of something extra that audio descriptive commentary does. Now, we don't have that everywhere. That's not at every stadium. I don't believe Millwall have it. There are a number of championship clubs that still don't have it. But there are a lot that now do. And there are some that definitely should be praised for it. Like I say, Lincoln, we got it in a few years back. But there are many a game where I go to away games and they just don't have it. They might have radio commentary, but as I've just explained, that doesn't really give too much away. It doesn't really give enough information to be able to follow and track the game that I would like. So I think there's going to have to become a point soon where clubs are mandated to have this, especially in the EFL and the Premier League. Because there's even been poor stories that there's even been situations where I've gone to a Premier League stadium and they've got something that is, quite frankly, a half-baked attempt at actually providing accessibility. And at some point, as you've said there, when we're talking about equality laws and things like that, there will become a point where there has to be a mandate for implementing it. And as far as I'm concerned, they should have done this in the independent regulator and the fan-led review, but It was a part that they decided to effectively ignore. They had one sentence within the 99-page Tracy Crouch report, fan-led review sort of white paper, that simply said, "We implore clubs to continue their work on equality, diversity, and inclusion."
To be fair, the fan independent review's got nothing to do with the fans. It's more to do with regulation of the club. And to be fair, the Premiership, I think, pulled off a blinder by, pulling their bluff, playing their bluff, and saying, "We're not going to pay you. We want to negotiate," because they knew that new government was going to come in, and the chances are Labour aren't going to do anything about it for at least another couple of years, and it gives the Premier League a couple more years of paying next to nothing. But it does all go back to the original starting, when someone at the FA didn't want a percentage of the 34 million. He wanted a fee, a set figure. So the Premier League gave them that set figure. And then over the years, they've never increased that set figure as such. But if they took a percentage of what was offered in the first place, they'd now have, a percentage of, instead of a percentage of 34 million, they'd have a percentage of 5 billion, which would have been a lot more beneficial for grassroots. But then again, at the end of the day, the FA couldn't run a fucking bath in a reservoir. So it is what it is. So, yeah. We're helping this. We're speaking to some of the Championship clubs. We're see who does and who doesn't. And yeah, we will stay in touch and see what's what. I mean, I know some contacts at the FSA. I know some guys in the media might be able to give you a leg up on this. And again, just for our platforms, we can see how we can help out and see if we can just get it out there. Again, what I might do is get you to write a post, and I'll get all the Championship clubs to repost and see. And obviously, if you're listening to this, I'll put Charlie's Twitter account in the show description, and if you can give him a follow and just give him a bit of an extra voice when he posts something, trying to give it to the FA or the EFL, etc., that we can just give him a retweet and a repost and sort of help support. Because I'm an able-sighted person. I used to wear glasses, so I had lasers, so my eyesight's perfect. But I don't actually think about watching football without being able to see it. And you need that description and everything else. So I can definitely see why it's benefit, rather than saying, X has got the ball to right and off and being told 10 yards from here, 10 yards from there. You can then picture whereabouts on the football pitch they are, and you can sort of visualize the attack building. We're getting there. So we agree Alex Mitchell is a big loss for you. Lukas Jensen now obviously a good all-round player. Is he good with his feet? He's just not good at kicking it, I take it. You said his distribution's not great.
His distribution got a lot of stick, and I think it was a lot of unfair stick, actually. I don't think it was ever as bad as what some sections of the fan base made out. And the problem is when you're a goalkeeper that's then got like a stigma attached to you as can't kick it, suddenly it sticks even when he can, because people start looking for that one misplaced goal kick each game.
Yeah.
So I don't really think there's an obvious flaw to his game, but if you were to have to pick one, probably what people would say.
Don't worry, we've had shit distribution keepers over the years, but they make up for it on other standards. So before you go, do you want to give your show and your channel a plug?
Yeah, absolutely.
And if people want to follow you, they can do so. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're the Stacey West podcast. We're sort of the Lincoln City fans podcast. There's also the blog as well, the Stacey West blog, that Gary, who you may have seen on other sort of Millwall sites over the past few days, talking about Lukas Jensen as well. He is the founder. There's four of us that do the podcast: Gary, myself, a guy called Ben, and a guy called Chris. Sort of rotate it between us. And yeah, look, if you want to follow along with any sort of Lincoln stuff, we're hopefully the place to go for that. And who knows, we might even have another player on loan from you this summer. I don't know.
He does know. He's got an idea.
No, I really don't. You
can have Truman. You can have one of our keepers if you want. So yeah, one of our young keepers. There you go.
Yeah, I'm all right. I think we'll find something better.
Yeah, listen, he hinted to it that obviously Gary, the guy who started Stacey West, was on Chris's show this week. So yeah, I mean, if you want to see what he has to say, then go over. The only reason I've gone with Charlie is that he come highly recommended. So yeah, we got Charlie. So yeah, Chris obviously got Gary, but
you got the upgrade, of course.
No, that's it. No, that's it. Yeah,
you got the better part of the deal. Yeah,
that's it. So yeah. Well, look, thank you very much for coming on. Thank you very much for coming on earlier. I know you were due to on tonight, but obviously circumstances, etc. So yeah, thanks very much. Wish you all the best of luck for the rest of the season. Hopefully you get a keeper and it doesn't derail what you're doing. And eventually at one point, you never know, you might well get up into the Championship.
Thank you so much. Good luck as well. Hopefully Lukas can be as good for you as he was for us, and I then don't look like a fool at this time in a year's time when hopefully my kind of predictions on how he'll do for you have come true. So yeah, good luck for that.
No, that's it. And make sure you just take 6 points off the train spotters because they're not. We don't class them as a rival. They like to think they're a rival, but we just think they're they're that pathetic uncle at the Christmas party who just drinks the brandy far too early. But hey ho, it is what it is. So yeah. Well, look, thanks very much for coming on. And go. If you're listening to this as a podcast or you're watching it on YouTube, then make sure you press like, subscribe. And if you are listening to it on Spotify, make sure to leave a review and also make sure that you follow us on Spotify so you don't miss any shows going forward. That's it. This is that Millwall podcast, and that was our interview with Charlie Beaston to find out a bit more about Lukas Jensen and also catch up and have a chat about Alex Mitchell. Thanks very much. Speak to you all again real soon. Bye. There we go.